Yo, what is going on, everyone? I am back with another review video. It is going to be on my Gamebitions Orbit, and I will be leaving Boardsies and Zidify's video in the description below, mainly because they had the mouse for a lot longer. They actually used it. I could only use this mouse for around 2 days before I realized that I hate it so much. It lacks a lot for making your aim better. It actually worsened my aim from using this mouse, and I will explain why. I will talk about the good things. I think the feet are very, very tapered. They're honestly really good. I think they're really good stock feet, and they perform pretty much the same, very consistent on every pad that I use. This is a textured pad, and it performs fine. It feels really smooth. I don't pick up too much texture. If you like that, however, then I guess they would be pretty bad. The other thing, too, are the clicks. I think the clicks are real snappy and crisp, and that's really good considering the Orochi had that issue where because you could take off the shell, it would make the clicks a lot mushier. However, with this mouse, you can take off the whole thing. You can take off the buttons, and you can take off the back shell, which is really a confusing feature to me because they don't sell the colors like separately. You would have to buy another mouse in order to just swap the colors out, and I think that's just really bizarre. I feel like if they had just went the Extrafy way where it just cost 10 more bucks to just get another color, I feel like that would still be a reach for a mouse that is not good for gaming. But it is just very confusing that they would actually do that, considering that you would have to buy another $80 mouse just to get a color swap. I think that is a very horrible idea. I'm not sure if they changed it, but when I was buying it, they did not sell it separately. So I really don't understand the point of customizing the colors. You're not really customizing anything when you have to spend $160 just to swap out colors. Another thing that is perfectly fine is the sensor. I think the placement is also where I like it. I really like the placement to be in the middle of my palm. I think that is probably the most accurate I have been while aiming. I think forward placement is really good too. Just not too far back, I think, is going to be bad. But in the middle, I think, is really good. Another thing that I wasn't able to test because I didn't want to use the mouse was battery life. I've had it for a good bit. I technically pre-ordered it, so I've had it for like a month, but I think I've only used it for 3 days, and it is fine. I don't want to test this mouse anymore, so I'm just trying to get this review out. Another thing that is really, really nice is the scroll wheel. Probably one of the better scroll wheels I've felt, actually. Really, really nice tensioning, really good consistency. And then the other thing, too, is the press-in is pretty light. I don't think it's that hard, and it feels really nice, too. On to the shape and why I dislike it so much. So I honestly, I don't think like eggs are bad. I do know a lot of people say it's a love or hate, but I think they're just okay. Like, I don't really dislike it, but I don't particularly like it either. And you can see on the bottom, there is no curvature. And what does that do? On mice that have curvature, you're allowed to put your fingers in and it will be locked in place because of that small indentation on the sides. And when there is no indentation, which I didn't even notice until using this mouse that mattered so much, my fingers will go all the way down here and they just feel so uncomfortable. It makes the mouse feel so much more narrow than it is because you can see on the sides over here, it flares out, but it comes in on the bottom. So it makes this mouse feel a lot more narrow, which I don't dislike, but it just doesn't feel consistent because of the angle that it's at. And then another thing that is very bad on this mouse is the side buttons. While they are clicky and tactile, it's fine. They feel really hollow, actually. I haven't used them enough. My finger always lays like right here, and that's where my thumb just naturally lays. So if I grip it too tight, I'll end up like hitting the side button. And while I don't normally use side buttons, I have this as my grenade in World War III. So I'm constantly just hitting this button or I run out of nades. And it's just super, super frustrating to where my normal grip, I have to completely adjust because of bad button placement. It's different if I'm like, even if I'm palming, you can see that it's still touching that button. I don't understand why they would put the side button so far back on the mouse. I just feel like if it was moved up like a solid like couple centimeters, it would make it to where I'm not hitting the button anymore. And it was just so frustrating to use it in game because I would just miss input. Another good thing is build quality. This was a funded project. I think it started on Kickstarter, and it's good to say that the build quality is fan-fucking-tastic. This feels like a Corsair mouse. It feels like a Nokia phone. It's like a brick, which is really good, especially on the top shell because they have like that Extrafy thing where you can just pop it off really easily, no dumbass screws. So the fact that the build quality, even on top, is good, that's really, really impressive to me, especially with all these holes. It flexes none at all. Another thing that they say is it's 67 grams, and I do feel like that is slightly on the heavier side of mice, especially where it's honestly a pretty small mouse. And I have very small hands, and I would honestly consider this a more small mouse, not really a medium. If I were to fingertip this mouse, I think it would be a lot better. Maybe that's what this mouse is geared towards, fingertippers, because they advertise it as a work and gaming mouse, which makes no sense to me because I will edit and play games on the same mouse. I don't need to switch off of my Starlight just because I'm editing a video or doing homework. That I don't understand why you would need a gaming mouse and a work mouse. It's kind of like the same thing to me. I don't know, maybe if you're one of those people that use like Logitech, like that weird business brand of mice, like then yeah, by all means. If I'm buying a mouse, for me personally, I'm going to be buying a gaming mouse and also use it for work. I don't really understand the point of separating those two pools. But yeah, that's pretty much all for my review. It's very lackluster with this mouse. If they just had a slight indent and if the side buttons were placed either higher or more forward, this mouse could have been great because I love the palm contact it gives. It gives like that G303 thing where this small area is directly in like the center of your palm, and it just gives you such good control. I love it. And the low button height makes me feel a lot more accurate. The weight could be shaved off, but I think because of the weight, the shell is very solid. So I could get over the weight, but it's just so difficult to use a mouse with just flat sides. I thought this would feel very similar to the Fnatic Bolt because of the sides being flat, but you can see on the bottom that there's no flare. So I have no grip stability. I'm constantly changing my grip or it's constantly slipping out of my hand, and it's just really frustrating. The coating is very good. I don't think it's like Zowie or Vaxi coating where it's super, super grippy, but it's grippy enough to the point where I actually don't have to worry about my fingers slipping. Rather, it's more my thumb and my ring and pinky finger that slip. But yeah, that's pretty much all for my review. I might sell this mouse or give it away. I'm not too sure. This is definitely one of the least inspiring mice I've reviewed. And I just hope if Gamebitions does see this, you guys really were really close to a really good product. You just need to fix the shape up a little bit, really only this bottom plate, and change the side buttons, push them up a little bit more or put them a little bit higher, because I do feel like this mouse has tons of potential. It just needs to unlock it. But yeah, that's pretty much all for my review, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.